Welcome to the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast, the go-to place to gain financial freedom through real estate investing. Here we interview investors, mentors, and entrepreneurs who share their secrets and advice to help you build passive income. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, it's Agostino. Have you been considering getting into multifamily but not sure how? The quality of your coaching determines the future of your business. Avoid expensive mistakes, stop procrastinating, and buy a profitable building with my exclusive one-on-one coaching program. I have a few seats available now. To learn more, visit bulletproofcashflow.com/multifamily coaching. Again, bulletproofcashflow.com/multifamily coaching. For many people seeking financial freedom, they often turn to mentors to help them get their start. And to me, it's one of the most underestimated ways for people to build success. And I'm always so pleased to see when others have built a life they can live on their own terms. Well, today's guest started in the same way. While he was a successful physical therapist, he saw his career that it really didn't allow him to really live life in his own terms. He really wanted to find financial freedom. And he started looking into options and discovered that flipping raw land was a great way to build wealth. So in 2015, he took on a mentor and worked to apply the systems and processes to build a land flipping business. Now today, he works with the Land Geek team and is passionate about sharing his journey into the world of raw land flipping. And he hopes of inspiring others as well to build their side hustle to achieve financial freedom. So with all that, I'd like to welcome Scott Bossman to the show. Hey, Scott, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks a lot, Agostino. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome. It's going to be great. Well, if you like what Scott has to say, you can reach him via his contact page at thelandgeek.com. You can also go to thelandgeek.com/training. And if you like our content, please don't forget to leave a comment and rate the show. And finally, if you text FREEDOM along with your name and email address to 216-777-2084, you can receive our latest free ebook, The Bulletproof Guide to Finding a Broker. Will include all those links in the description too. Okay, Scott, tell the listeners about how you got your start in real estate.
Sure. So I am a physical therapist by trade. About 16, 17 years into my career, I kind of woke up one day and realized that I was spinning my wheels, trading my time for dollars, and wasn't where I wanted to be in life. I had a very busy life. I have a wife and 4 boys, and working 50 hours a week and seeing time go by so quickly, it made me a little bit sad that I wasn't able to spend more time with them. And while I love my career, while I love being a physical therapist, it just was not providing me with the time freedom that I wanted. So call it a midlife crisis. I don't know. I was about to turn 40. I decided to, go on a kind of a journey of self-discovery and figure out a way to feel that time freedom, that financial security that I've always yearned for. So I started listening to podcast after podcast, read book after book, much like many people do, I think. And one day, I think the universe plopped Mark Podolsky down in front of me on a podcast, and I heard that podcast, and it changed my life. My wife and I, we were actually on the verge of going into rental properties. We had been looking at duplexes in our area, and we're going to buy and start renting when we found Mark Podolsky on a podcast, the Land Geek. And I loved the business model. It made really great sense to me. I have other friends in real estate investing, and there are a lot of emergencies with, rental properties and that type of thing. And one of the first things Mark Podolsky said to me was that, Scott, there are no land emergencies. And he's really right. It's very easy to manage land. So we took a chance. We went into land investing. I tried to do it on my own for a couple months. I actually did have some success on my own. I was able to buy and sell a property with Mark's investor toolkit, which is basically a DIY program. It's an information program. He gives you the information to do land investing. I was very motivated to change my life. I went through that. I was able to buy and sell a property within a couple months of getting that toolkit, but then decided I wanted to scale this thing. And after meeting Mark and some of the other people in the Land Geek community, I could really tell that mentorship was what I needed. And we put all our chips on the table, so to speak, and committed to a year-long intensive training process with Mark. And Mark and Scott Todd really helped me scale my business to the point where, I was able to replace my income as a physical therapist in 2 years. with land investing, and I was able to quit my job in 3 years. So it's been a phenomenal ride.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think the thing is, though, is that going back a little bit here, you made a decision that you really want to spend time with the family. And while you listen to all those different podcasts and you're reading all the books, I'm assuming even before that, you're kind of like thinking about making the leap. But, like many people, they weren't necessarily ready to listen. I think probably the same thing could be said about you, right? I mean, maybe all these signs are always in front of you that there's all these options, but your mind wasn't open to really take it in and actually take action, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were multiple barriers to me taking this leap. Number one, I'm a physical therapist. I'm a healthcare guy. Like, I'm not an entrepreneur by trade. I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I come from a family of doctors and lawyers and judges and farmers and nurses, people who literally trade their time for dollars. Now, those are all very, very honorable type of positions in life. But really, when you look at it, they just don't provide a lot of time freedom. So I had that barrier to kind of traverse in my own mind. Scott, you've never done anything like this before. What makes you think you're going to be able to succeed? So I had to put my faith in the Land Geek model. I think a lot of that came from, I believe in something when I'm able to prove it to myself first. So I was able to buy and sell a property successfully on my own. Proof of concept, it worked. And then I put my faith in the model, and Mark helped me scale this. So that was one barrier. The other barrier was just finding the time to do it. I was working 50 hours a week as a PT, busy dad, and I was motivated to change my life. So I really had to carve out the time to do it. But land investing is great because if you have 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, it's a true side hustle that you can really move forward with.
Yeah. I mean, but one of the things that you said, though, was that it took a decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to make the choice of, after working those 50 hours a week, do you really want to plop in front of the TV and watch Game of Thrones or watch a movie every night or whatever, or maybe just play with the kids? Maybe you couldn't play with the four boys. I mean, you kind of had to like spend a little time with them and then keep cranking on this thing in the short term to know that, listen, I'll set a goal in the next 2 years to be financially free to the point where if I didn't want to be at this job, I don't have to do it. Right. I mean, it's seeing the vision, right? It's really deciding and then setting a timeline, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah. I set a timeline. I had high goals for myself. I did have to really carve out the time. I mean, I'm not used to getting up at 5 a.m, but I saw that this worked, and it motivated me to get up at 4:35 a.m. every day for almost a year. And that's when I spent my time on the land business. A couple hours before school, maybe an hour at night after the boys went to bed. Was I tired? Yeah. But that sacrifice in the short term paid off in the long term in spades. So I think for people who have a hard time with taking the leap and finding time and doing something that's completely different than what they're totally used to, you can do it. You have to change your environment sometimes to change your life, right? So you have to take a leap, invest highly in yourself, invest highly, whether that's a time commitment or a financial commitment or that type of thing, and it will help kind of force you to make changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we talked about this in the green room too, because now life is much different today than it was, like, say 3-4 years ago, or in 2015, when you're working as a PT. You'd get up, get your breakfast, go into some job you don't like. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, right? But now life is totally different, right?
Yeah, I mean, I liked my job. I like being a physical therapist. I love the patient care aspect of it. You can see some pretty amazing things in a half hour with somebody. They walk in with pain, they leave without pain. I mean, that's really rewarding. The things I didn't like about my job were the continual issues with, insurance companies and some workplace politics and that type of thing. So I wanted something, I wanted more balance in my life. I wanted to be able to continue to work with patients, but be able to devote my time at home. And that's what this has enabled me to do. I still work as a physical therapist a couple hours, or maybe an afternoon a week, sometimes 2 afternoons a week. So I get my dose of that, which I really love. But, for instance, this summer, Agostino, it really dawned on me how special this is, because for the first summer in about 20 years, I had the summer off. And when I'm able to go golfing with my son on a Monday morning and go fishing with my other son on a Thursday morning during the summer, and never having been able to do that, it's really powerful. So that's been one of my biggest rewards in doing all of this, is just that time freedom.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, too. It's like when I was stuck in corporate America, and, even though I was a C-level executive working at these good companies, I was limited, and even though, they pay you quite well, I wasn't truly living to my full potential, which is another key aspect, right? And again, I'm not saying anything bad about the 40-hour work week, but they pay you just enough to keep you there, right? They don't pay you any more, just enough to keep you there.
Exactly.
That's
right.
it, right? That's it. It's all it is, right? And that's okay. That's how corporate America works. That's fine. I'm not knocking it. It's more like, how much more do you have in the tank? How much more wealth can you build for yourself, your family? And if you're up to it, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? For some of us, myself included, I want to leave a legacy for my family. So that's why I do what I do. So it's a much bigger thing for me. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Now tell me a little bit about the business then itself. So now you're doing the land flipping thing, and we've actually had Mark on the show before. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you do when it comes to the business side of things now, in terms of putting the business together, in terms of maybe some of the deals you might do today, maybe something even interesting about it as well.
Sure. So, I spend about 2 focused hours a day in my land investing business right now, I would say. For those that are unfamiliar with the business model, I'll just do a quick run through. Basically, we're buying land from distressed individuals who, maybe they have back taxes on their land. Maybe they have owned their land forever and they don't know how to get rid of it. We target these people by mailings, and ideally, we're able to purchase one property for every 100 mailings. It kind of tells us if we're in the right market. We do our due diligence on those properties. If everything looks great, we go ahead and purchase that property. And then I sell my property in one of 3 ways. You can turn around and sell it for cash at or slightly below market value. What I prefer is selling it on terms, because that really creates a passive income stream for us. And then you can wholesale the land as well to another land investor to make a quick profit and move on and maybe redeploy that money into the business. But the power of this comes in the passive income and the terms deals. A typical deal for me is, I might purchase a property for $1,500 and I'll finance it for, maybe $100 down, $150 a month for 60 months, somewhere, something like that. A lot of people might think, why aren't you buying land for $20,000, $30,000 and doing the same? You can, the equation works, but what we find is that these are kind of our bread and butter parcels in my company anyway. I'm able to buy land for 25 cents on the dollar at $1,500. They sell really quickly. A lot of people love owning land for $100 down, $100 to $150 a month. So the fact that we're able to sell those very quickly, there's great velocity in this business. So you just do that over and over and over again. And if you just follow the equation and you're doing this business model, before you know it, you have a car payment coming in every month, or you have passive income coming in every month to cover a car payment and then a house payment. And then it just escalates. So you can easily get to, $10,000, $20,000 a month passive income in this business in 2 to 5 years, depending on how much time you're able to deploy into this. And if you just follow the recipe, if you just follow the equation that Land Geek teaches you.
Nice. So do you find that these properties are typically located in like bustling metropolises, or are they in more rural areas, or does it even matter?
Yeah, good question. Primarily rural areas, areas 2 to 3 hours from a major metropolitan area. I have bought land within city limits of a small town or a small city. I have bought very rural land as well. Typically land that you can buy for cheap or 25 cents on the dollar. And it's primarily out west. Not to say that this doesn't work out east. It's just land is a little bit more expensive out east. People value their land a lot more. out east, the holding costs are a lot higher as far as taxes and property owners associations and that type of thing. So we're just able to, that 25 cents on the dollar equation seems to work best in the western part of the United States. And that's where I happen to focus, and a lot of land geeks happen to focus. And it's making a huge, huge difference.
Nice. Wow. So now, if someone's listening to this right now, and typically we have a lot of multifamily people, and we also have a lot of other real estate people that really tune in to listen to what many of our guests have to say. This is a very interesting method of creating that bulletproof cash flow that we're always looking for, right? What sort of investment expectations are required aside from the training? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But it sounds to me like there's an aspect here of you have to buy the land, right? You have to hire the attorney because you're basically financing it, or you're the bank basically, though, because you're buying the asset and you're financing it. What other sort of things from a perspective of cash needed to actually get it done, and what sort of other things does someone need to do to really protect themselves?
Yeah, great question. The barrier for entry is very low when you're looking at it from a cost perspective. You can really start this with a couple $1,000s. You can start this with a couple $100s. Mark has a free wholesaling class where he basically teaches you how to buy and sell land without any money, and I can provide you info for that if you want. But yeah, I mean, startup costs for this are very low. You need money for mailings because we target people by mail. We might recommend you start out at 400 mailings a month. So call that $350 a month for mailing. Other than that, you might have to purchase a list. A lot of times you can get a list for free, as far as who you're going to mail to. So throw in another $50 a month for a list. And then you have your land acquisition costs. You can buy land for a couple $100s in this country. You can buy land for, like I was saying earlier, $1,500. You can buy land for $3,000 to $5,000. So you have to buy the land that's right for you, but you can do it on all types of budgets. And then as far as the actual closing process and that type of thing, we really like to self-close these deals. With our training, we're able to teach you how to do your due diligence and title searches and that type of thing to make sure that you're buying land that is free and clear and conveying it that way as well. It's actually quite easy to self-close these deals, so there's not a huge cost there. And then as far as getting people set up on payments and that type of thing, we have automated systems that take payments. And as you know, with today's technology, you can buy and sell things in your office. That's what we do with land. So the cost can be quite minimal to get up and started.
Right. So it sounds like then, let's say, for instance, you find a piece of land in Arizona for $1,000. You then, I think Mark mentioned, you would then take it and put it on like a Craigslist or one of these land websites or whatever, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we market on Craigslist, Facebook buy-sell trade groups, our own buyers list. I've been doing this now for 4 years, so I have a buyers list I think we're at 3,500 people on our buyers list, something like that. You try to hit them every week. And then we have land selling platforms as well that we utilize. One is landmodo.com. And when you look at all of those marketing platforms, Craigslist is free. Facebook buy-sell trade groups are free. Your buyer's list is free, essentially. So marketing costs in this business are quite low as well.
Yeah. So here's the killer question then.
Yeah.
The land is cheap. $1,500, you finance it at some 8-10% interest rate or whatever, right? That's cool, right? So the person buys it from you. What is their end game? Like, why are they buying this land? Are they hoping that maybe they'll build something on it? Are they hoping that someone else is going to swoop in? I mean, it's all speculation. Like, what do you find is the reason that people buy this stuff in the first place from you guys?
That's a great question. And that was hard for me to wrap my head around initially. Like, why is somebody going to want to buy this piece of rural property in the middle of nowhere?
Right.
But it's one of a few reasons. Number one, people love land as an asset. They like to buy it and hold it. And it truly is an asset. It typically appreciates over time. Number two, people love land for recreation. So we sell to a lot of people who they want to get away from the city. And if they have a rural plot of land somewhere where they can go and unplug from today's society and camp for the weekend and bring their kids and their RV and their guns or whatever they want to do, it's the recreationalist, right? We also sell to people who have a dream. They have a dream of retiring on this property and building a home someday. We sell to off-grid homesteaders as well. So those are some of the types of people we sell to. And it's very interesting. It's hard for me to wrap my head around why someone would want land in the middle of a desert, for instance.
Right.
But they sell. They sell. People love owning their own land.
Huh, interesting. And I imagine, though, based on most of those scenarios, it sounds like it's a substantial piece of land then. It isn't like a quarter acre or something like that. It sounds like these are fairly substantial, right?
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to earlier that I've bought and sold land within city limits and within a town. I mean, those are anywhere from quarter acre to an acre, maybe. But these rural plots, I mean, you're typically talking 5 acres, 10 acres, 40 acres, 80 acres. So yeah, some of the larger parcels of land are very, very attractive to people.
Nice. Excellent. So now you mentioned that there is a DIY program that LandGeek actually sells, right? There's the wholesale program, which you mentioned. We'll include a link in the description too for that. But then there's also this DIY program, and of course the training that you do as well. So if someone wants to start dabbling in this, is that what you recommend then? Is maybe just take a look at the DIY, or do you recommend them just jumping in, or like what are your thoughts around that?
LandGeek has 2 programs for beginners. We have the DIY program, which a lot of people start with. We also have a program called Flight School, and this is taught by one of the best land investors there is. Scott Todd is his name. And it's a true, what I call an execution program, because you're learning in real time. So it's a 4-month-long program. Basically, you have a call with Scott on Zoom, and he teaches you certain aspects of the business, and then you go execute. And then next week you have another call, and then you go execute. So our success rate with Flight School is very, very high, because he's kind of holding your feet to the fire. He's making sure you're executing. He's making sure you're buying land, and you need to buy land in order to sell it. So by the time people are done with the Flight School program, about 90% of them are buying and selling land. So it's a pretty phenomenal success result there. So, I think the bottom line is we have mentorship programs. We have programs that can help you scale this to a level that, you are able to replace your income in a really short period of time. Some people are doing it within a year. They'll replace their income. Some people it takes 2 or 3 years, but so what? But we have the programs in place and the mentorship in place to kind of pull you up that hill and, help you through the dips and peaks and valleys along the way, and help you formulate a land business that really can be a machine, because there's a high emphasis in our programs on automation and delegation and elimination, and getting you to the point where you can spend a couple hours a day in your land business and be bringing in some significant passive income.
Excellent. So, like I said, I had Mark on the show, and I'm a true believer in getting a mentor to really help you with solidifying your vision and then moving forward. But I think the thing that you guys have is an actual program, just like we do, when it comes to buying an asset and getting it to cash flow. And obviously, you've done it. You've done what you've done, and now you're living a great life where you're able to spend time with your family and do what you want to do and live life on your terms. I'm able to do the same thing, and many of the guests have had on the show, same sort of deal. However, when it comes to someone that says they want to do it and they don't want to do it, or only through their actions, I mean, do you find yourself having to resell the program to them again? Or like, how do you handle those sort of situations where there's someone that signs on, but they're not committing? Like, how do you handle that sort of scenario?
Yeah, it's hard, because we want to see people succeed. And what we find in this business in particular is that as long as you are consistent, that's the biggest key. If you consistently mail in this business, you will have deal flow, which solves everything. And you're going to be able to sell, because they all sell. But you do need to consistently market as well. So we have people that get stuck on the acquisition side because they're not consistent with their mailings. We have people that get stuck on the sales side because they're not consistent with their marketing. So I think everybody, when they're starting land investing, they're all going to have dips. So what we do in our community is we really want you to succeed. We have some skin in the game because we know it works, and we take it personally when our students are not succeeding. So we have significant coaching support. The coaches try to swoop in and help get people on the right track again. Now, if they want it, obviously it's going to be a lot easier to get them back on track. We just need to fine tune some things and tweak some things and say, hey, you need to be more consistent with these things, because that's where your deals are going to come from. Every once in a while, I guess people talk themselves out of it, and whether it's a fear thing or some of those things are more difficult to overcome. A lot of people get in their own way, as you know. You got to get it out of your own way, right? And try to move forward and follow the equation, and not let whatever's in your way prevent you from doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think the way you described it earlier was that you're able to replace your income in 2 years and leave the job in 3. It sounds to me like it took you making that decision, which is absolutely key to actually decide. Then you have to commit to that decision as well, right? And do the work it took to actually see that success come through. And, unfortunately, it's hard. All 3 of those steps to either decide, commit, and succeed, they're all hard. They're very, very difficult, because it's easier because society has pushed this on us to chill, relax, watch TV, go out to the bar, have fun with your friends, as opposed to grinding it out for 3 years in your case, and living a life that you're able to live on your own terms. Because basically, even when you're doing your coaching and your training, you can pretty much be almost anywhere to do it, right? You can go down to the beaches in Maui and handle a coaching call or a training call.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this business as well. I mean, I have more time freedom now as well. I mean, I can pack up and go see my family for a week and bring my land business with me in my backpack, really. We have all the tools that we need online to be able to do this business. So you really can do it from everywhere. We have people in our community who live in RVs, and they travel the country working their land business. We have US citizens that go abroad for a year and they work their land business from abroad. So it's really phenomenal in that regard to be able to do it wherever you want, with whoever you want, whenever you want. It's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your philosophy for life and success? Like, what motivates you?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure this out, but when you look at the past, I kind of did these things, and then I realized, oh, hey, that's my philosophy. And I think I gained some perspective by reading a few things. Benjamin Hardy, I read a lot. He's a blogger on Medium, and he has a great book called Willpower Doesn't Work. Mm-hmm. And I read that book, and I'm like, wow, this really puts it out there. Basically, I really believe that you need to invest highly in yourself. And by doing that, by changing your environment, it will cause you to change. So whether that's a huge financial commitment or a huge time commitment, you need to take the leap and cause a change in your environment. And that will help you succeed. A lot of people, I think, get hung up on the reverse, right? So they have a hard time investing in themselves because of fear. They don't want to change their environment because of fear. Fear is a huge barrier in people's lives. So a forcing function, causing some type of change by some huge action, and making that monumental change that results in results, right? Rather than trying to get all the results first to cause the change. Yeah, it's kind of my philosophy.
And I think, you know what, though, and you touched on it, is that you have to visualize it, you have to see it. And in your case, you did it on your own, and then you saw it that way, as opposed to, say, other people like myself. I actually created a vision board, and I write out my affirmations every day. I'm telling my subconscious what my life is, even though it's not like that right now, but I'm programming it and getting it ready.
Right.
And everyone's got a different way of handling that, but visualizing the future helps you overcome that fear, because it strengthens your resolve, is what it does.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, if you want to follow up with Scott, you can reach him via the contact page at landgeek.com. You can also go to thelandgeek.com/training. I'll include a link in the description. And of course, like I said earlier, if you text FREEDOM along with your name and email address to 216-777-2084, you can get our new free ebook, The Bulletproof Guide to Finding a Broker. Hope you got a lot of good information out of this. Hope you enjoyed the discussion. Thank you for your time, Scott. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I had a great time.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast. For more free podcasts, articles, videos, and resources, go to www.bulletproofcashflow.com.